on the issues that matter most to everyday Americans. I look forward to the work that we will all do together to implement
as restaurants just continue to grapple with the economic effects of the ongoing crisis, particularly staffing shortages. Now, Sean Kennedy, executive of the Public Affairs, told The Hill that the funding couldn't happen soon enough, noting thousands of restaurants are closed permanently or long term, as many businesses find a hard time recovering from the crisis. Last year, lawmakers approved more than $28 billion in relief funds designated for restaurants and bars as part of the Restaurant Revitalization Fund that was established in the American Rescue Plan Act. The sweeping $1.9 trillion stimulus relief package that President Biden signed included money for numerous programs, ranging from expansions to the child tax credit and Obamacare. Advocates said that while those funds were effective in helping many restaurants, many people were left behind. So some advocates are also pushing to ensure that businesses in multiple industries get some new type of relief. Senator Ben Cardin said that he and other members are behind the effort and are looking at repurposing funds allocated under the previous relief bill. His comments come as Republicans voice opposition to this bill, though some people have signaled openness to hearing arguments for a bill aimed at certain parts of America. The Biden administration is also looking to extend the 2021 child tax credit payments to 2025. The enhanced child tax credits totals $3,000 per child ages 6 to 17 and $3,600 per child 5 and under. Now, this is not the first time lawmakers have sweetened this credit, have increased the credit. In the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed under the former president, it was increased to $2,000. Hopefully President Biden can get the job done and send out more stimulus payments. If you think he will, tell me in the comments below.
Well, thank you. You'll hear a lot today about what this historic legislation means for everyday Americans, from better roads, to stronger electric grids, to cleaner water, to faster internet in more places. Our plan will create millions of jobs and make our country stronger, safer, and more globally competitive without raising taxes on everyday Americans. You may have heard less about new policies in our bill that do not grab the same media attention, but will make a big difference. States like Arizona that are confronting historic drought will see billions of dollars to strengthen water systems throughout the American West. Communities will see historic investments to prevent and recover from wildfires. Land ports of entry, key national security infrastructure and commercial hubs will see major upgrades. And our bill makes significant investments in tribal communities' infrastructure, including all necessary funding to complete authorized Indian water rights settlements. Beyond historic financial resources, our plan includes a significant update of transportation policy, from strengthening public transit in mid-sized communities to new technologies preventing impaired driving, to new federal positions to raise the voices of tribal communities in infrastructure policy. Our legislation represents the substantive policy changes that some have said are no longer possible in today's Senate. How many times have we heard that bipartisanship isn't possible anymore, or that important policy can only happen on a party line? Our legislation proves the opposite. And the senators who negotiated this legislation show how to get things done. The senators in our group of 10 effectively represented the needs of the regions we represent. Senator Cassidy in the Deep South, Senator Warner in the Mid-Atlantic, Senator Manchin in Appalachia, and Senators Romney and Tester in the West. And the Northeast and Alaska, each with unique needs, were ably represented by Senators Shaheen, Collins, and Murkowski, the wonder women of our group, always focused on the practical outcomes. And I sincerely thank my partner in co-leading this long effort, Senator Rob Portman, whose knowledge of the federal budget is matched only by his steadfast commitment to delivering on this priority for America. Delivering this legislation for the American people, this is what it looks like when elected leaders set aside differences, shut out the noise, and focus on delivering results
which is rooted in our shared history, values, and interest, and global security. And personally, as the first Italian-American Speaker of the House of Representatives, I take special pride in the Italian-American community in America that is a strong link in U.S.-Italy relations. It's a privilege to be with leaders of the Parliament of the G20 and guest countries for this important summit to discuss the greatest challenges of our time and the opportunity to address them. In that spirit, I quote President Biden's words spoken last month at the UN General Assembly. We stand, in my view, at an inflection point in history. Our security, our prosperity, and our very freedoms are interconnected as never before, and so we must work together as never before. And I'll just talk about America for a moment. In the early days of our revolution, in the darkest days of the revolution, a philosopher and patriot, Thomas Paine, said, "The times have found us. The times have found us. The times found them to declare independence, to fight a war and win and establish the American democracy." The times had found them. Nearly 100 years later, the times found Abraham Lincoln to fight and win a war to keep that American democracy as one country. In the next century, in the 20th century, the Second World War broke out around the world. The times found leaders of the free world to become allies to fight evil and make the world safe for liberty and peace. And today, the times have found us, each and every one of us, to save the people from COVID and to save the planet from the existential threat of the climate crisis. Now not that we place ourselves in the category of greatness of those who went before, but we recognize the urgency of the challenge that we face, and we must address it. On the climate crisis, many of the parliaments here have long recognized the urgency and have led the way on action. Many of you have done that already. You have faced the reality of the climate crisis in your own countries. We, the G20 countries, are the world's largest polluters, producing, well, maybe up to 75% of the emissions. And we have a responsibility to act. We have a great opportunity to do so.